Duncan, how you doing?
Good.
Wait, how are you doing?
Good.
Excellent. That's what I love to hear. Well, welcome to our first panel. It's the Morphenomenal panel with Catherine Sutherland. Catherine is actor of stage, screen, video game voice actor, and podcaster. Most well known for playing Catherine Cat Hillard, the Pink Ranger, in various iterations of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers franchise. Please help me welcome Catherine Sutherland. So let's just kind of start out, can you tell us your acting origin story?
Acting origin? Well, I'm from Australia, as you guys can hear from my accent. I grew up, in a small town, but was always really involved in theatre and everything, dancing from the age of about 5. I was a ballerina, and then when I was 14, I convinced my parents to send me to a performing arts school in Sydney that specialised in dance, theatre, acting, singing, everything. So I really got to kind of hone in on my craft when I was there. I did a lot of theatre in Australia, and then when I graduated, I started modelling. My modelling agency knew that I was an actor and asked if they could start sending me out for auditions, so I started doing a lot of work in Australia, a lot of commercials and TV and things like that. And then I one day got this call that to audition for a children's show that was filming in Hollywood, and I was like, oh, that's my dream, to go to Hollywood. And so I went on the audition, and the first audition I saw, her name was Catherine, same as me, and I'm like, oh, maybe that's a sign. And then my second audition, I had to do a martial arts routine, so I called in my friend, because I wasn't a martial artist, I was a dancer, and he kind of made me look really good with lots of kicks and spins. And then the third audition was with the producer, Shuki Levy, and then I got a call maybe 3 weeks later to, how do you feel about moving to America? I was like, oh my gosh. So yeah, it all happened I was only 20 when I got the show, so my career was kind of sped up very fast, and I'm so grateful. Acting is a really challenging profession, and there's so much rejection, so I was very fortunate to have such success at such a young age. But when I left the show, it was a very different experience. So that was the reality.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you feel then, I know that there's people who talk about martial arts and dance as having some adjacent aspects. Did you feel like having your background in dance made it perhaps easier to adjust than maybe some of your colleagues?
Oh, definitely. Well, all of us had to have had either martial arts, gymnastics, or dance experience, because it was a pretty rigorous physically. So I definitely think dance helped me, because I was used to choreography, and they kind of tailored our routines around what our strengths were. So, obviously I could do pirouettes and kick high and all of that, so they definitely tailored it towards that. But our stunt people were the stars of the show, really. They were, we had a Japanese stunt team, Alpha Stunts, and Koichi was the stunt coordinator, and they really made us look like spectacular, way more than I could ever have done on my own. So my stunt double was actually a Japanese man. So if you look at the footage, I'm sure you can see that he always overdid the girly thing. A lot of padding in places, but he was amazing.
So when you were working on the show initially, did you have a sense of just how big it was going to get?
No, not at all. I didn't know anything about Power Rangers, actually. In the script, it just said a children's show, and I was going to be a series regular, so I didn't know even that I was going to be replacing Amy Jo or anything. And once I got the show, I think it had just started airing in Australia, so I was able to see. I was at the gym one day, I remember, I was on a treadmill, and I was like, oh, that's Power Rangers, that's the show I'm going to be on. And so I was watching and taking in, oh my gosh, I'm going to be working with these people. And I didn't understand what a phenomenon it was until when I got to America. I arrived in June '95, and they were doing the press tour for the movie. And so I didn't get to meet them for probably 2 weeks after I'd moved there. And we went to the premiere of the movie. I was with Jason Frank and his wife. And we got out of the limousine, and it was like this sea of cameras and lights and everybody screaming his name, and I was like, what is happening right now? I felt like he was like one of the Beatles or something. And people were just going crazy over them, and I thought, oh my gosh, this this is like a big deal. And they did a hand and foot ceremony in Hollywood, on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. I was like, oh, this isn't just a little kids show, this is a big deal. So then I felt a lot of pressure, obviously, after I realized that. Yeah.
Excellent. So, what are some of your favorite memories from working on the show?
I think there's so many because I was on the show for over 100 episodes, but my first day on set, that was really cool. My first day was, we shot the scene where I am transformed from the cat to the girl, and I'm watching them fight, you know, in the vet's office. And I was so nervous because I was meeting them all, and it was my first day, and there was so many people that were there to see the new girl, you know. And but it was so exciting. Like, I was so excited to be there. So that was one good memory. Being fitted for my suit, because obviously I wasn't going to fit in Amy Jo's suit. She's tiny and petite. So they had to make a new suit for me. So that was cool to be fitted for my suit and realizing, oh my gosh, I'm going to be a superhero. This is really cool. And then I have a lot of memories of just filming with my friends and just hanging out with them on set. And it's just too many to count. It was a really special time. It was only 2.5 years of my life, but it made such an impact, you know. So.
And so when you kind of came in, you for yourself as the new girl,
yes.
right? Did you feel like it was a relatively easy transition into the role with the cast, with fans? How did that go?
Yeah, the fans, I didn't really know. They didn't know me for several months after I'd started filming, so I had a lot of anonymity at first. I think, like, I remember being at a restaurant maybe 3 months in and someone going, oh my gosh, you're Kat. And I was like, you always forget because you're kind of insulated in this little bubble, and you didn't realize, like, it's going out to millions of people around the world. So I realized that they were very famous because we would have a lot of kids visit the set, and when I was out with them, a lot of people would be like fanning over them, you know. I think being a replacement is really challenging, especially when you're replacing someone as popular as Kimberly. Amy Jo is so loved. Her character, she's props to her. She defined the Pink Ranger for all of us. So I was very sensitive to the fact that she was leaving. Even though it was her choice to leave, it was still her family and her turf, and so I didn't want to make her feel uncomfortable. But we only worked together for maybe 3 weeks. It was a very short time, and I think they did a good job of making our characters different enough that the fans would accept it. But, everybody has their favorites of like, I still get like people saying that they don't like me and they like her, or they like her and they don't like me. That's how it is. It's always going to be like that. So it's okay. I'm all good with that. She's amazing, and she deserves all of her credit. So.
Excellent.
Yes.
So I want to take a pause in my questions and open it up to some of your fans to ask you questions.
Yes.
We'll see how it goes. So.
Yes.
Yeah. Did you have a favorite season that you worked on?
They're all like my children, so I love them all for different reasons. But I think probably, I always say the same answer. Mighty Morphin obviously is very iconic because it's the original series. I'm very grateful that I was a part of the original series. I loved my introduction to the show as being evil and becoming good, and I loved that storyline. It was really fun to act that too. I loved Zio just because that was my season. I didn't share that season with anybody else. And I really loved the storylines in Zio. I thought our writers were really amazing. I wasn't crazy about the Machine Empire, but that's another issue. And then I loved Turbo, because I felt like we were more mature. We'd graduated high school. The storylines, I just felt like our characters evolved a little bit more. We were very comfortable with our characters. And I loved Diva Tots because it kind of was a throwback to Rita. I loved that villain. I thought she was fantastic. And we got Blake, and so I think they all had different things that I enjoyed about them. But probably Zio, just because that was my season. People mostly think of Kat as from Zio rather than Mighty Morphin. Yeah. Yes.
What was your first friend on set?
The first person that introduced themselves to me was Steve Cardenas. He was very sweet, and we were all really close in different ways. Obviously, Nikia, as you know, is my very best friend. She's from Zio, so I used to spend a lot of time with her when she was on the show. But I had amazing relationships with all of my cast. You know, we were like brothers and sisters. So, thank you. Yes.
When Jason Frick died, did it hit you hard like it hit everybody else?
Yes, of course. I was my friend for 30 years. I was actually in New Jersey. It was the week before Thanksgiving, and I had this really weird feeling about him. The last time I'd seen him was at Morphocon, and he just didn't look well, and he was very withdrawn from everybody. And I remember just thinking he wasn't doing good. And I had said to Nikia I was worried about him, and I was in my room, and I got a call from Jenna, and I was like, I had a missed call from Jenna, and I was like, I looked at my husband, I said, something's happened to Jason. I just knew in my gut. And it was fortunate because I was with Nikia, so we were able to, sorry.
It's very hard.
It was, thank you. It was a very painful thing. You know, Jason was really good at putting a mask on, but he struggled for a long time.
I was heartbroken early when he died.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
I was very heartbroken.
It's okay. It's okay. I love to talk about him though, and I want you guys to feel comfortable asking questions, because that's what keeps his memory alive. So, yes. Yeah.
I have a question. Even though there were like a lot of Power Rangers that came back to make some reunions and stuff like that, did you ever want to be a part of that reunions or not?
No, yes, I did. They asked me to come back from Megaforce. They asked a lot of us. They kind of cast a wide net to everybody, and I think it did come down, I think, a little bit to the footage that they had of what Rangers were maybe featured in the Sentai footage, or trying to like give a variety of Rangers. So I didn't go back for Megaforce. I did go back for Ninja Steel, and it was really fun to go back. But I always felt like the reunion episodes were a little bit disappointing, just for me personally, because I felt like they didn't really give any of the character development. It was just like a cameo. Like, they should have made the episodes maybe a bit longer so that it was more of a special. So that's why I was really happy when I read the script for Once and Always, because I felt like it was very well written, and it was flushed out a bit more, giving the fans more what they wanted. I think you guys wanted to see the characters come back, not just like, oh, there's Tommy, there's, Rocky, oh cool, I just saw, my favorite Ranger, but for 5 seconds without hardly saying anything.
Yeah, when they were making Super Mega Force, they did bring back some of the original Power Rangers back.
Yes.
For like a cameo guest star and stuff like that.
Yes.
Or maybe did a little bit from the original Fine Morphin.
Yes, they did. I think when they did Once and Always, they really listened to the fans on that one, and David Yost had a lot of influence over the script. Like, he would be like, no, that doesn't work, or he was very consulting with them a lot, even down to like, David's very, like, he's a perfectionist, so he was like, that morph is not right, and he was very clear about them of what it was supposed to be, because he really wanted to make sure you guys got what you wanted. So I'm grateful for that. It was a little intimidating. I was like, because when I did Ninja Steel, they had me doing turbo, and the turbo morpher was not right. The key was too long, and it was it looked very different to my turbo key and everything. And I'm like, and he was like, hold it up here. I said, but the hole's here. And he's like, don't worry about it. And then there's all these pictures of me with doing the morph, and it's not going in the hole. And I'm like, it's not my fault, guys. I was just doing what the director told me. So I was really nervous for this one. Like, oh my gosh, what if my fingers aren't right, or I'm not holding the morpher correctly? Like, please correct me if it's wrong. Anyway, it was 30 years ago, Yes.
What was your reaction when you heard that Blake Foster was going to be joining Orange Cast for Turbo?
I think we were all like, how is that going to work? He's a child. Like, how is he gonna be the same size as us and everything? And then we saw that they just made him like grow, and we were like, oh, okay. I guess that's how we're gonna do it. Yeah, they just did it in CGI and made him grow. What's that?
Super Sentai, there was one kid, right?
Oh, was there? Okay.
Those White Rangers, it was originally a kid.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, it was very different having Blake on. Obviously, you know, Nikki and I were very protective of him because it's very different when you have a child on set. Like, you have to be more aware of the things you say and do, and I used to get really mad at the boys if they were being, you know, stupid in front of him. Like, stop being a bad example, you know. Blake didn't like it because he had to go to school. He wanted to be with us all the time, and he had to go to school. But yeah, it was very different. It was very different. But I love him. He's bigger than me now. He's like 6'3" or something. Just did like buff, and it's so weird. Yes.
Yeah, who are your famous villains? And
My favorite villains?
Yeah, who are your favorite villains?
Rita and Zed for sure. I just loved Goldar and Rito, and I loved all of them. I thought they were so funny. And then as far as the villains I fought, I really liked, there was one in Turbo called Numbor. He's, when I was floating all around the command center and all of that, I really liked him. I thought the other one I loved, because it reminded me of Little Shop of Horrors, was the one when Tommy had swallowed Rita's Peter, I think the episode is. He swallows the monster and he can't stop eating.
Yeah.
He was so disgusting, you guys, during that. He was so gross. I was like, would you stop? You're overdoing it. He would shove like so many things in his mouth and like spitting it everywhere in my face. I was like, this is disgusting. But Jason loved to mess with us. Yes. Yes, let's see if there was someone else that had, who had their hand up? Yes, back there. We'll come back to you, Nicole.
I was wondering, like, when you got into Power Rangers, were you expecting to into voice acting at the same time, since you had to voice all like the cat monster, but also do the ADR for the Pink Ranger stuff?
Yeah, we had to do a lot of ADR because anytime we're in the helmets, that was all, we had to voice over all of that. So I didn't realize how much it was going to be actually. But we would film sometimes 12, 13-hour days and then have to go and do ADR for a couple of hours. So I got really good at, like, there's a beep sound, it goes beep, 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 and then you have to speak. And so we got really good at like knocking that out as fast as possible because we wanted to go home. But yeah, I loved, Scott and I were very close. He was our producer for the ADR, and he actually, when the show was over, he used to call me back all the time. You've heard my voice, you didn't even know it. I did tons of monster voices for them and background voices, and I did a lot of toys for Mattel, like fairy princesses and all kinds of toys, because he ended up leaving Power Rangers and going to Mattel. Yeah, so I loved working with him. It was a lot of fun. Yeah. Yes. Perfect.
How was it like being in the actual suit?
Yeah, everyone asks me, I get asked that a lot. I was a dancer, so I was used to being in leotards and tights, so it wasn't that different for me. The material was very thick and not very stretchy. Our stunt doubles suits were actually a little bit different material, so they were able to move around a little bit more. But ours were very, because they were the movie suits or whatever. And we had the girls had like a bodysuit for the top with the white, and then the boys had to wear like more to cover things. They didn't like that too much, but it was fine. I mean, we were mostly indoors when we were wearing our suits because it was in the command center when we take our helmets off. We had a couple of days where we were outdoors and it was brutal because it's in the desert and everything, but for the most part they were pretty comfortable. The Ninjetti suits were my favorite. They were like pajamas.
Basically, if you had to go to the bathroom, you had to have a double, right?
It had a zipper on the back. So it wasn't that difficult to get in and out of, really. Not like Batman suits and all of those. I had horror stories for those guys, but no, ours were pretty straightforward. The movie suits for the first movie that they had to wear were 30 pounds. They were very heavy, and they were very difficult to get in and out of. So they would only be able to film for a short period of time because it was too much for them to wear those suits. But yeah, yes.
Well,
did you forget your question?
When the season of My Morphin Power Rangers was over, how did you feel when a movie of the My Morphin came out and got the script for
For Turbo?
it.
Yeah.
For Once and Always.
Oh, for Once and Always. I've been talking to them for about, I don't know, 8 months maybe, about the possibility of this. And the first round of script was very different from what we ended up with. Because originally, Jason was going to be in it. Jason Brent was going to be in the thing. So it was like, the storyline was like, Trini dies and he blames himself and he kind of leaves his family and kind of goes off, and Billy has to he comes to Kat to kind of help find Tommy and bring him back to help them with Robo Rita and all of that. So it was really a really cool script, but then Jason decided not to do it, and Austin couldn't do it, and Amy decided not to do it. So it morphed a few times to get it to where it was at, but I was really excited when I got the final script. I thought they did a really good job of covering everything that I thought the fans would want. The only thing, I mean, obviously I wish Nakia had been there. I wish they'd also made Adam and Aisha's storyline a little bit more, explained the SPA part of it a little bit more. And then I also think Bulk and Skull should have been there, not just on a banner. They are so much a part of Mighty Morphin that season, so that was kind of disappointing. But they had their reasons, budget reasons or whatever. So I think they did the most with what they had. So, yeah.
Either while filming or since in the years since, how much of the source material have you seen?
Sentai footage, you mean?
Like the original episode.
I haven't watched it. I know I keep saying to the fans, we were going to do a breakdown of one of the episodes, Sentai episodes on Power Rangers playback, but we haven't yet. I've only seen Sentai footage that they used on the show, but it was so different from what we did. It was much more adult. Like, there's some really bizarre things in the Sentai. Like it's kind of dark, actually. Like the Green Ranger dies in the original one, and Johnny was telling us the story of he was going to write an episode, and they said, well, you've got to look at the Sentai footage to see how to write that in, because that's the monsters we're using. And he said, the one he watched, the monster peed on the Power Rangers. I was like, what? So just strange stuff, you know? It's a very different feel to what our show is. So, yeah. I will at some point, when I have time, I will sit down and watch it. Yes. Nicole, you had a question. I'm coming back to you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you ever meet Twee Train before her passing?
I didn't get to meet Twee. I wish I had of. I hear wonderful things about her. Yes. Yes, everybody says she was really special.
She also teased Austin St. John by ripping up on him to mess with them.
She was a little bit of a prankster, I heard too. She had a little twinkle in her eye. But if you guys are interested, actually, I can't remember who I was telling, maybe it was you, about on our YouTube channel we have an episode with her best friend Angela Rockwood. We interviewed her live, and it's on our YouTube channel if you want to watch it. But she talks a lot about what kind of person Twee was, and she talks about the accident. So it's a nice little tribute to Twee. So yes.
How was the experience coming back for Once and Always and going back on the scene?
It was really nostalgic, and Steve and I remember walking in and we saw the juice bar for the first time, and we both got really emotional because it looked so much like it. It was amazing. And then the same Rita's, what's the thing that she comes out of? The dumpster. Yeah, Rita's dumpster. We're like, oh my gosh, people are gonna freak out at this. And then the Moon Palace. I walked in and they had, the first time I saw Rita and the monsters, I was like, oh my gosh, they were so creepy. They were so cool. I was really happy they used Barbara Goodson's voice instead of trying to fake it, because they tried to do that on the first movie. They hired someone else and it didn't work. I mean, her voice is so iconic as Rita. And I was just really grateful that I got to be a part of it. I almost didn't go because, this was right after COVID and all the regulations and all the things. I'm like, what if I get stuck in another country? And, I was stressing out, and the producer was so patient with me. But I'm really glad I got there and got to be a part of it, and it was amazing.
You guys all did great job.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes.
I like the movie The Cell.
Yes.
and you were in another couple of movies that I saw you in, and I really liked them. You did a
Thank
really
you.
good job.
Thank
and I just
you.
want to let you know I do like to sell. It's one of my favorite movies.
It's very creepy.
I love it.
It's very
Yeah.
creepy. I don't even know my kids. I was like, I don't want you to watch that. Stay away from that.
So
Yeah.
what did you think about having to fight the original Red Ranger and Amy and Turbo? When they
Oh,
were-
yeah. That was
What did you
funny
think
when
about
she
that?
says, pink is out. Sorry, sweetie, pink is out. And she kicks me. I felt that was funny.
Did you think that was, did you feel bad that you had to fight her, or?
No, I actually thought it was clever the way they did that. Because, you know, the fans, there was a lot of issues with that episode where she sent Tommy the letter and I kind of swooped in. I think that people got upset about that. So I thought it was funny that they readdressed that in Turbo. I think it was good. And you know, not everybody ends up with their high school sweetheart anyway. She was going off to the Pan Globals. She was like living her life. So yeah. I thought they did a good job with Amy and Austin. I think it was a fun surprise to reveal that to people. Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
You said you do your own YouTube channel, but I also saw that you did one for Chris Matata, of course.
Oh yeah, I did a couple of skits for Chris. Yeah. Yeah.
Was it similar to what you did for the show, or was it something kind of different?
No, we did a couple of things. He did one, like a Ranger battle one. I don't know if you've seen that. It went viral where, you know, the Ranger Rumble. Yeah, he's done different versions of that one. And then he asked Nikki and I did one for him separately, and then he asked Nikki and I to do one with him. So I've done a couple with him. I love him. I think he's fantastic. He's doing so well. He's like interviewing J-Lo and Chris Hemsworth. He's like blown up.
His own music too.
Yes, he does. He does. He's great. Yeah. Yes. I can't see you. But there we go.
I wanted to ask, did anyone officially in charge of Power ever explain why you had to give up the Zeo power for cars?
The question of the day. I get asked that one a lot too. No. Well, in the original script, which is called Race to the Volcano, there was a scene with Adam and Tanya, and they were looking for Kimberly and Jason. They were like diving under the water, and they came across a mermaid that ended up turning into Rita, I think, and there was like a battle underwater, and they come out and their suits are all destroyed. And there was something, I know there was something in the script that explained like why, but they never put that in because they cut so much out of it, because it would have been a 4-hour movie. But I get asked that all the time. Like, the Zeo powers were supposed to be the most powerful in the universe, and then it doesn't work in water? Like, come on, Zordon. You can do better than that. Yeah, so I have no idea. What do you guys think? What's your theory?
I think the Zeo power still existed. They just became too powerful to be used on a daily basis.
Okay, I like that.
I kind of thought it was weird that when you tried to morph into the Zeo Ranger when you were falling.
Yeah, that's what he's talking
that
about.
It got interrupted
Yes,
completely.
yes, it stopped completely. Like, that seems odd. Like, why didn't I have something in my backpack that could, like, make it waterproof, or I don't know, power? Yeah, come on, Kat. Like, let's be real here. You're a superhero. Figure it out. Yes, that is true. Yes. Yes.
They should have made an episode where they would be done with being Zeo and turn into Turbo. They should have done that, you know, like how they maybe lost their powers and go into the next.
Yeah, they should have. Yes, I agree. They didn't give you guys a lot of credit as kids. I think they thought you would just be like, okay, on to the next one. But
Yeah, they
you
just
know,
made a movie instead of just making like one series and going to
we
the
were
next.
supposed to do a Zeo movie, actually. There was a Zeo movie that was in my contract when I first signed on. I was supposed to do a Zeo and a Turbo movie, but they didn't do Zeo. They just went straight to
I read
Turbo.
the rough script of the original copy.
Oh, did you?
Where Jason had to come back as Gold Ranger one final time.
Oh, wow.
See, we talked a little bit about your YouTube channel. Can you talk
Yes.
a little bit about the development of the sort of...
Yeah, how it came
yeah.
about. Nikki and I were in Scotland, and that we were with Nolan North and Troy Baker. Do you guys know them? Yeah, they're amazing. And they had these, all their fans were wearing these retro replay shirts, and they had this long line of people that wanted to talk to them about their YouTube channel, and Nikki and I were like, what's your YouTube channel about? And they said, well, we play our games and then we talk about it, like talk about the characters. And I was like, that's so cool. So then her and I were like, we need to do something like that for our fans. Like, our fans are always asking what it's like behind the scenes. And so originally we were going to watch our episodes and talk about each episode, kind of like what they were doing. And so we filmed, and we were so excited, and it was about to release, and then we got a copyright claim from Hasbro and Toei, and we were like, oh, damn. So we had to cut it and change it a lot. And then COVID happened, and it was such a cathartic thing for us and for the fans, because we had a place where they could meet and be a community. Because you guys, like, there's such a, it's such a community. Our Ranger family is a community. Like, they need each other, and conventions is a way for you guys to connect and talk about it, and it's always so endearing. Like, even in line, like, everybody's talking and connecting about the show. It's very sweet. And so we were like, well, maybe if we're getting copyright claims, maybe we extend it and we do interviews and we just make it more. So Nakia is a night owl and I'm a morning person, so I would wake up in the morning and she'd be like at 3 in the morning, she's like, I have an idea, we can do this, we can do that, and I'm like, okay. And so we started filming a lot of things during COVID, and then we added membership to our channel so that we have a Discord channel for our fans to talk on. We do member chats with them every month, and our fans contribute a lot to the content that we put on. We ask them a lot of questions about what they want, what kind of merchandise they want, what rangers they want us to interview, what they like to see. Like, they kind of helped us come up with the Nancy and Doris characters that we do, because they were like, you should do something really opposite of yourself, you know? So it's been really fun to kind of collaborate and put something out there that is for them specifically. So it's been a little more challenging since I moved to Nashville, because Nikki is still in California, but we're trying to make it work. So yeah.
And do a podcast as well?
Yeah, we had a podcast called Super Chat, which is still, you can still listen to that. We just weren't, it was too much for us to do that and the show and then traveling, and but I also have a faith-based podcast called Grace Begins, which is like we have inspiring stories on there of people from all walks of life, and it's really just to uplift people, just put something good back out into the world. So many negative things out there. It's nice to just have something where people are like talking about the hope in their life, you know. So yeah.
And you recently wrote a children's book?
I wrote that several years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I wrote a book called The Boy with the Heart on His Sleeve. It's good, based on my son. My son has, you know, as a little boy, just these very big emotions, and he was kind of, you know, people can when they don't understand you, can squash you down, and his little heart kind of shrivels, and then he hears the voice from within telling him who he really is, his real identity, and he starts to bloom and grow again. And I've had a lot of parents that have children with autism and whatever have said to me that it really spoke to them, or kids that are bullied, or just kids that are a little different, you know. It just made them feel like, oh, I can be, people can see me for who I am, and I don't need to be told who I am, you know. Wonderful. Yeah, so I have it available on my website if you're interested in reading it. Yes.
What is your favorite superhero? I mean, as being out of all the superheroes there are out there, what is your favorite superhero?
Oh, well, Wonder Woman,
Okay.
definitely. I love Black Widow. I love all the female superheroes, obviously. My favorite male superhero, I have a couple. I love Captain America, because he's just so good. He's such a good person. And I love his story of being a weakling and then becoming this amazing, like, strongest man in the universe. And I love Ant-Man, because he's funny.
Yeah.
And I love Iron Man, because he's just so cool, like all the things he creates, and yeah. So, yeah. Yes.
Did you get the new hotel room?
Oh, did you see my video? Yes, they moved, the girl came right away, but it was literally like, I felt like I'm not going to be able to sleep in this room. It was so loud. Yeah, so I'm all good. Oh, my hotel room, the air conditioning was like so loud. Yes, yes.
So, as you mentioned, it's a large fan base, very community oriented, sometimes ravenous. So, do do you feel a lot of pressure to be the gatekeeper of your character? And, you know, a lot of the fans know the character probably better than you do in some cases. Do you feel a lot of pressure to kind of keep up with that, keep up with the lore, including the stuff that you haven't been involved in, such as the comics and whatnot?
Yeah. Not as much as I did when I first started doing conventions, because I couldn't remember morphs. People would say, "You remember in this episode?" And I'd be like, "Oh," because I filmed over 100 episodes, and we filmed like clusters. So we would film 3 episodes in 2 weeks, and we were changing in and out. Like I often didn't know what episode I was even in. Like, you were doing this today, and they'd be like, "Oh, it was a lot." So in the beginning, I definitely felt that way. Power Rangers Playback has helped me because I've watched so many episodes of even later seasons. Like, I didn't know a lot of these later seasons. Now I've watched their episodes, so I know the characters and what their shows are about. And I haven't read the comics, so I'm a little bit behind on that. But I feel pretty equipped with my character now. Like, I feel like I can answer most questions, and if I can't, then you guys just educate me and tell me, "No, Kat, that's not what happened." Yes.
Well, in the comics, you had a song with Tommy.
JJ, yes.
Did you embrace that?
Yeah, I liked that storyline, and I think that's the one thing I do like that I'm hearing in the comics is that they're exploring a lot of fan fiction. So I like the idea that there's different universes and different realities that happen in those universes. So in one universe, Tommy is evil and he becomes Draken, and in another universe, he and Kimberly ended up together. You know, in her story, in her comic book that she just released. And in Soul of the Dragon, he and Kat are together and have a child, and JJ becomes a ranger. Like, I like all these options and ideas, and you can kind of choose which one works for you. So. I was happy that they put that in the show. I thought that was really cool, like a tribute to them. I don't know if you read the 30th anniversary comic, but Melissa Flores wrote it, and she consulted with me on what I thought would have happened to Kat, and she wanted Kat and Tommy to be back together. So she shows in the comic how they reacquainted with each other, because there's a lot of theories of like, well, what's the timeline? Because Tommy was Dr. Oliver, and then he's now with you, and then there's JJ, like it doesn't add up. And so she kind of filled that gap in a little bit. Yeah, yes?
Like, David just got bullied off the show for being in the gang. Were you one of the people who defended him, or did the other Rangers defend him too?
To be totally honest with you, I had no idea what was going on. I just knew that all of a sudden the script changed and David was old and going to be going to Aquitar, and I was like, what? It was very abrupt. I never witnessed anything on set because there was a lot of like, you're with each other for hours and hours a day, and there was a lot of like, to be honest, Jason Frank was the one that bullied me the most, in a joking way. Don't mean that in a mean way. He was a prankster, so he was always messing with us. He used to put flies in David's sandwich, and he was always messing with it, farting and throwing it in your face, or he was just always messing with us. But I never saw or witnessed anything specific, and I felt so bad for David when I heard that had happened, because I would have said something, I didn't know.
Well, myself, so I truly understand.
Yeah, nobody should go through that. It's terrible. And I think he's been a great advocate and voice for people. A lot of people have really felt like they could share their truth and their story because of David. But I didn't witness it myself. So, yeah. Yes, Roman?
In the comics, Draco, the evil Tommy, killed Tommy in the comics.
Oh.
And then he killed Rita.
Tommy killed Rita, or Draken killed Rita? Draken kills Rita? Oh, that's scandalous. Oh, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. I think that Draken character is brilliant, and the Ranger Slayer. I love that storyline. Yeah, really cool. And his costume's pretty awesome too. Yes?
The worst member of the Machine Empire.
Oh, they are all so annoying. All of them. Nikki and I have nicknames for all of them. We call The one Sprocket, I think his name was Prince Sprocket. We call him the baby slayer. He's always got, you know, he swings Prince Sprocket around and stuff. And then we call her Stiff Neck, the queen, because she just doesn't move. She's like this. And then Bowtie is the king. And then we call the little one. The little one's probably the most annoying. What was his name? Was he Sprocket?
I can't stand it.
He was Sprocket. Who was the taller one? What was his name? Anyway, the little one, he was so annoying, his voice and everything, he's so whiny. Yeah, I didn't like them. Did you guys like the Machine Empire? Yeah, annoying. Maybe they were supposed to be annoying. I don't know. They just didn't have the personality that Rita and Zed had. And I got to work a lot with Rita and Zed, so I was very, I'm partial to them. Yeah, I don't know.
When they did the Forever Red season, how come they didn't do one for all the colors?
Yeah, well,
Like blue,
red,
pink, yellow.
they should have done a Forever Pink. I would have liked that, but
Comic, there's a Forever Pink.
I saw that, yes, I saw the cover for that, it's beautiful. I think because the Red Ranger is so popular, they just thought that would be something everyone would want to see. So, I don't know, I was supposed to be in that episode, but I ended up doing a monster voice instead. I did Tesla, I was the voice of Tesla, but they had originally going to have, was it that one or one of the Dino Thunder ones? Dino Thunder's the one that Jason did, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was supposed to come back for that too, apparently, but.
I think we're going to wrap up here shortly. So before we do, are there any projects that you'd like to promote, things you're excited about coming out that we should look
Nothing
for?
I can talk about yet, but yes, I always post, I'm very active on social media, so if there's anything coming out, I will post it on there, but I can't necessarily talk about that.
So where can we find you on social media then?
It's Catherine_Sutherland on Instagram. I don't really use Facebook, so if you're going to message me on Instagram. And then we have Power Rangers Playback on Instagram and YouTube. And then Grace Begins podcast is on all platforms, so yeah.
Excellent. Well, Catherine Sutherland, thank you very much for joining us, and you'll be here the rest of the weekend?
Yes,
or?
I'll be here all weekend.
Okay, excellent.
Thank you for
All right.
coming, everybody.
Thank you. Kind of fun time.